Two people seated in a restaurant talking about important topics, and they quickly become friends. Here, we learn about Dumbledore, one of their names and a nice person. The second one was Grindelwald, who wasn't nearly as skilled as the first. He adopted nasty habits, thus he wasn't very good. Dumbledore was attempting to convince him that whatever he was doing wasn't appropriate. You still have time to escape this situation. Hearing this, Grindelwald responds, "You know what I'm doing, whatever it is." He says, "I'm doing it for the fantasy we once had. I want to eradicate Muggles from the globe." He makes this comment before leaving, but who exactly are these Muggles? The magical world is actually out of sight from the ordinary world. Anyone who is in this world and is ignorant of magic is also magically ignorant. The term Muggle refers to a normal person. After some time, Dumbledore holds a locket. It was a one-of-a-kind locket that Dumbledore and Grindelwald made in the past. In this locket, their youthful blood has been preserved. They promise to always be connected to one another and never break their pledge in an oath made with their blood. The locket will work against them and result in their death if they violate the pledge before it is too late. On the other side, Dumbledore is opposed to this. The following scene is a brazen young guy named Newt, who declares that he doesn't want Grindelwald to do anything awful. He was now searching for a magical creature in a forest who has a unique talent. The individual whose blood is being connected to him may be able to view their future. With him, either good or bad things will happen. Finally, Newt comes upon a creature queen who is also a new mother. Another youngster, a hunter, shows up in the interim. Along with his friends, he ventures into the jungle in quest of prey. Later, he admits that he collaborates with Grindelwald and came to kill this thing, and he accomplishes so. He also wants to bring his youngster along. On the other hand, Newt made every effort to protect the child from the hunter. The hunter and his men chase Newt after he kidnaps the baby and runs into the woods, and they ultimately catch up with him. Before taking the baby creature, they seize Newt and hurt him. When Newt wakes up, he immediately hurries to the queen thing, where he is amazed to discover that the queen has given birth to a new kid. That means the creature gave birth to 2 instead of 1 offspring. The little creature is taken by Newt and placed into his luggage. There were other additional species in that luggage, and they all originated in various worlds rather than the same one. The hunter who captures the child and offers it to Grindelwald. As I've already said, Grindelwald is a vicious individual who is not a decent man. He slices the throat of the tiny monster, mixing his blood with it. He is able to predict the future as a result. He then carries out the same action and sees his future. On the other hand, we see Newt, who has traveled with his brother to visit Dumbledore. He hands him a locket and explains that it's not a typical locket, but yet, we've manufactured it and it's obvious that this runs in our family, so even if we tried, I couldn't break it. Because of his remarks, Newt and his brother don't trust him. That explains how a locket may be so durable that it cannot be broken. Dumbledore later demonstrates how to open the locket, and when he violates the vow, the locket turns against them, starts killing them. Knowing that I won't be able to defeat Grindelwald on my own, he goes to 2 brothers for help. Both brothers accept to help him, and after some time, the hunter reappears, looking somewhat worried. In actuality, he has shown regret for all he has done. He has taken the tiny creature as payment for this. When he sees the mirror where it was written, "Please pardon me." Later, a bakery manager is introduced to us. It is revealed that the man has a close buddy who works with Grindelwald, and even though she has been with him, she has never met the baker. A professor also pays the baker a subsequent visit. Before teleporting him and moving him from one place to another, she first engages in conversation with him. Both Newt and his brother were already seated on this train. There were also other people there who were actually Newt's friends. One of them, a girl, and the other, a boy, were dispatched by Dumbledore. In reality, Dumbledore has dispatched them to battle Grindelwald. After everyone has gathered, Newt declares that Grindelwald has already seen what will happen in the future and that we don't need to make any plans right away to fight him. He then gives him all of the gifts that Dumbledore has provided so that he can distribute them. Despite being a Muggle, the baker found a magical stick. Although Dumbledore has bestowed this skill onto Harry, he is not familiar with magic. While his friend receives a piece of paper, Newt's sibling receives a remarkable tie. When Newt's partner reads this document, it burns because it was magical. The professor also receives a book, and the buddy of Newt responds, "I got what I wanted." Later, as the train reaches a halt, Newt's friend, he travels alone rather than going with others. He has the responsibility of monitoring Grindelwald. After removing the bag, Newt's partner splits off. The other individuals show up at the office of the magical minister. Newt encounters a man who is incredibly wealthy, since this is a magical workplace. He is in charge of this amazing universe. He relays to Newt the word he has received from Dumbledore, that to follow one's conscience and disregard what others have to say. This individual does him a favor and, according to a secret, is with Grindelwald. He exonerated Grindelwald of every accusation leveled against him. Since the wealthy guy chooses the enchanted names for the next elections and despises mufflers and doesn't think well of them, he was charged with everything. While all of this is going on, Newt's brother spots a girl. The girl was also a Grindelwald employee, which is why he was following her, but when the police showed there and arrested Grindelwald, neither Newt nor his friends could do anything to save him. The following day, Dumbledore makes a surprise visit and tells Newt and his co-workers that he knows where Newt's brother is being held. He also invites the baker and professor to enter the office. A worker is approached by Newt's buddy, who is carrying the luggage, and requests that 6 brand new suitcases be manufactured to replace Newt's. The genuine luggage can be concealed so that nobody would be able to tell which one is the real one. On the other side, Newt's male buddy visits Grindelwald because he was assigned the duty of monitoring Grindelwald. Grindelwald asks for confirmation after the man approaches him and tells him that Dumbledore has assigned him to watch out for him. He starts to read his thoughts and realizes that whatever he says is accurate. He also learns that Newt's friend hasn't forgotten his late sister, who perished as a result of Grindelwald's deeds. In a clever move, Grindelwald destroys all of his sister's memories. He therefore has no memory of his late sibling. We meet Dumbledore, and Grindelwald sends a guy to assassinate him. This man was the hunter who killed the monster but has since expressed regret. Dumbledore was aware of the plot since he was so brilliant. They moved the hunter to a different site as a result because nobody was present and Dumbledore was a strong man. The hunter was easily vanquished. After beating the hunter, he tells him what a fool he is. He's the wrong guy for you, and he's taking advantage of you, and you are aware that despite your presence among us, we are unaware of this. Dumbledore transports him back to his real world. In contrast, Newt travels to the location where Dumbledore has instructed him to go. It was a jail, but the jailer showed some cunning behavior before he got there. All of Dumbledore's magical gifts for Newt are taken by him. He rushed to his brother, who was nearby, and untied his chains. He lets him leave, but after a while, a large number of other monsters show up and attack them. However, Newt, who is well knowledgeable about them, confuses the creatures with his thoughts and escapes. As they move on, a huge beast appears in front of them. However, Newt and his brother are also able to flee from this situation. Later, it seems that Newt has taken all of the magical presents. When they touch the tie, they transfer to a different world. The action shifts to the minister's magical office, where the baker and professor have arrived and a party is in progress. Grindelwald also appears in the company of the baker. She wasn't looking at the baker when she arrived since she was Grindelwald's companion. This makes him miserable and despondent. Election candidates have also attended at this party. The oldest of them was a female, so Grindelwald dispatched a waitress to poison her by giving her a drink. Before she can drink it, this professor magically disposes of it. The baker points his magical stick towards Grindelwald to demonstrate that he has taken all necessary action. Grindelwald may have been killed, and Baker is accused by everyone for it, proving that he has done this. The baker is teleported to a different area by the professor. When she comes, Newt, Dumbledore, and his brother are already there. The baker is not innocent, according to a newspaper that the lecturer distributes to the students. He did make an effort to assassinate Grindelwald today. Later on, Dumbledore confirms that Grindelwald has definitely entered the race. He will vote in the elections that will be held in the magical universe. He then shows them a kingdom where the elections will take place. They all arrive to see Dumbledore's brother in the next scene. He reveals to him the fact that the hunter is your son. Before today, we were unaware of this. He is shocked by what he hears because he is ignorant of it. After that, Newt sees something written in the mirror. I want to go back home. Newt goes to tell Dumbledore after becoming confused. Dumbledore said, this message has been sent to us. The sender of this communication is someone I know. This is the hunter's message. The hunter is going to pass away, which is further horrible news because unusual birds are all around him. The bird is exclusively associated with those who are going to pass away. Dumbledore addresses his sister throughout the conversation. I once got into a heated dispute with my brother, and that eventually turned into a fight, and we were going to use our magical sticks to fight one another. Sadly, our sister was going by when it struck her, killing her instantly. Her passing is still fresh in our minds, and it saddens us. As a result, we hadn't spoken to each other. The Queen Child is later revived and beheaded by Grindelwald. Grindelwald also learns that the Monster Queen has given birth to 2 children. This implies that the Queen gave birth to a 3rd child on that day. The child belongs to Newt. The hunter was not aware that the beast had another offspring while they were engaged in combat. Newt has brought this with him, and upon hearing this, Grindelwald becomes agitated. He claims that after assaulting him, why can't you do this? It's your fault. You don't know the monster has a 2nd offspring, whom Newt has adopted, and you only have 1 chance to live. And I'll kill you if you don't get rid of Dumbledore. Newt's friends bring 5 more suitcases. The locals are unaware of which luggage is the actual one that is home to the Monster Queen's child. Dumbledore cautions the little creature to arrive at the polling place in a secure manner since this species is capable of sensing the existence of the soul. And if he bows before anybody, he will take charge of the magical realm. We are aware that Grindelwald has a young monster and he'll use his sorcery to manipulate the infant. He will abuse the youngster as a result and advance to the leadership position. Dumbledore wants this little creature to be elected because it can tell the difference between good and bad people and who will be deserving of the position of leader. However, they take their baggage and teleport to the polling booth. Grindelwald's soldiers notice Professor Newt's brother at this point. They begin pursuing him and engaging in combat. Since they were more numerous, the inhabitants of Grindelwald were harder on them. In the process of capturing him, they unzip the bag, in which the Grindelwald populace starts to explode as several magical balls appear. The baker's suitcase opened on the opposite side. The baker's companion, who had joined Grindelwald, returns to him on the other side, begs for his pardon because he abandoned him to join Grindelwald. The inhabitants of Grindelwald show up during their chat and seize them. On the other hand, not many people are searching for the professor and Newt's brother. After telling Grindelwald everything, Newt's friend eventually shows up there. He assaults everyone. He remains with Dumbledore because of this. He only performed a play that day in order to aid Grindelwald. Grindelwald's buddy arrived in the interim, attacked, and knocked unconscious Newt as he attempted to take his bag to the polling place. And the following scene shows how Newt wakes up. He receives his bag back from this woman. The fact that Newt touches his baggage and it burns. Grindelwald demonstrates a technique that explains how the monster baby won the election. It suggests that he has attained the pinnacle of the magical universe. He is the boss now, and everyone must follow him. The baker has attempted to be killed, so he first issues a warning to everyone not to abandon him. In addition, when he attacks him with magic, a witch appears and protects him from the magic's effects. He continues, "I've got something important to say to you," as the hunter approaches. The newborn creature Grindelwald possesses is a fake. He is a fraud. In the meantime, Newt's pal shows up with her actual suitcase. The baby monster suddenly bowed in front of Dumbledore in the space where the baby thing had been. This indicates that he is a nice guy and worthy of the job. Dumbledore remarks, "You have selected me to be the next leader. Tell me now whether anyone else is worthy and deserving of becoming a leader." After witnessing this, the beast sways in front of the magician, who has saved Baker's life and is now in charge of the magical universe. Grindelwald gets to worn out. The hunter is injured and growing weak after his attack. After he is damaged, Dumbledore and his brother cast the spell to attack. The outcome is a blast and their locket breaks as the magical powers collide with one another, wherein Dumbledore and Grindelwald have sworn a blood oath. The oath they would have sworn in blood today has been breached. Later, Dumbledore and Grindelwald are at odds with one another, as they have never been, and they want to fight fiercely. At some point, the discussion will come to a conclusion, and Dumbledore will start to depart. "Will you adore me as much as before?" Grindelwald halts him. Dumbledore responds, "No, not at all." The hunter is recognized as Dumbledore's brother's son, and he was seriously hurt. The brother of Dumbledore invites him to his house and begs for forgiveness. The next scene depicts the baker and his friend getting married. Where they were living a lovely life, a girl approaches Newt. She served as their company, and by demonstrating to them, movie ends here. Thanks for watching and click on another movie recap displayed on the screen.